Are you addicted? A lot of us are. A lot of us don't even realize that we are addicted to self-help. Now, I'm not going to give you the 3 ways you can tell, but if you look at your bank balance, have you spent over $100 in the last 6 weeks on books, products, programs, magic crystals, healings? That's one way. Number 2, are you constantly catching things on social media that are stopping you in your tracks? If they're like, finally be happy, finally be abundant. That's your second. And your third would be, are you putting off your dreams, your highly aligned values with who you are, to follow the path that you want to follow because you think you have to heal first? Those are the 3 questions I want you to ask yourself. And then I'm going to tell you something that's really important. You can just stop with the self-help. You can. Now, I'm not a big advocate of don't improve yourself, but what I'm saying is the universe and the quantum field isn't responding to your history or your study on how to be a better person. It's responding to your state. And I've always been really, really clear on this. The things I teach, meta creation, doing collapse work on things that trigger us, some breath work, EFT, journaling and scripting. But those things do not need to be done prior to changing your state. See, changing your state is the absolute easiest way to manifest whatever you want to manifest. And what I realized after many, many years and many books that I've written and researched and written, is the fact that a lot of people couldn't change their state because of all the trauma, because of nervous system dysregulation. So I introduced all of the things that I teach in an effort to help assuage that, in an effort to help reduce your dysregulation, to heal the past trauma, and to regulate, your not just your nervous system, but your whole unconscious existence. But a lot of people on the way to the bank, on the way down the bunny trail, have mistaken that work for being the work. And it's not the work. The work is changing your state. The universe does not respond to your history. It doesn't respond to your trauma. In fact, trauma is a locked state. Something happened, whether it was when you were 15 or when you were 5. Something happened, your body went into fight or flight, and that feeling, that trauma, has been locked at that level of frequency for many years. And you're attracting based on that level of frequency. If you just look back a few videos ago, I talked about frequency and your baseline. It's so important that you understand that. But what I'm saying for today is, I see a lot of people, let's do shadow work. 2026 is coming. Have you done your shadow work? Oh, if you have a dysregulated nervous system, you need to do this. And all of those things have a time and a place. But what's happened is people have mistaken the time and the place to be everywhere and everything. And that just ain't true. Frequency, reaching the state, the level of frequency of your vision, is what you're always aiming for. That is priority number 1. The other things are tools along the way to help you reach that state and maintain that state. And what I have found is a lot of people who are, interested in manifestation, then they found out, oh, I haven't been able to manifest because I'm in my amygdala brain, which, by the way, most people who live in our 5G society, especially I have found, and that's just because that's what I work with, is women over 50, is that, very, very few women are excluded from this. Very few women. Because even if we were raised in an idyllic home environment with loving mother and father, and went to, the top schools and just was valedictorian, and everything was amazing, even in spite of all that, which we know would be a bunch of BS because it doesn't happen. We still have the 5G that's infiltrating us. We still have the media that's embedding fear in our nervous systems. We still have the poison in our food, in our water, in our air. So nobody is exempt, as far as I know, who doesn't need some of this work. You know, one of the things, and that's one of the reasons, and you never see me on here saying, you need to buy an AO scanner. I mean, sometimes I'm pitching it and saying I can do treatments on you. And I don't do that as much anymore because it's very time consuming for me. And the reward isn't financially, it's not profitable. I do much better in helping people if I just add that in as an aside. But I'm here to tell you, whether you buy an AO scanner or you hire me or someone else, or you go to, you know, Reiki once a week, whatever you do, just know that energy healing, it's ongoing. You're not going to just brush your teeth one time and then never brush your teeth again and expect it to just be totally fine. Does that make sense? So when we do this work, manifestation, all the shadow work, all the let's collapse that charge. You know, I always talk about, in my new book, I talk about triggers or treasures, because every single thing in your environment that triggers you is an invitation to explore. Because if it triggers you, the opposite of it is inside of you that just has not been healed yet. It has not been balanced. And when I use the word heal these days, way differently than I used it even a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Before it was like, we need to heal the inner child. Now it's like there's no healing that needs to be done. We just need to balance it out. We just need to balance it out. And how do we balance it out? By something that happened that's negative to us, we find all the benefits and all the ways it served us. This is like Dr. Demartini all the way when it comes to collapse work. He invented this, and it's very much based on quantum science and psychology. So those charges are not going away. The things that triggered us, we think it's the argument we had with our adult daughter. We think it's the snide remark our spouse made. We think it's that client is being impossible. All of that, I don't care what anyone says. I've seen it. I know it to be true. All of that is a reflection of the unconscious parts of you that you're projecting outward. And it's coming back to say, oh, this needs to be balanced. So if you have a trigger, if someone chaps your hide and you're just like, oh, how dare they, da, 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 da. You need to sit down right then when you can. I don't mean like in the middle of a discussion, but you need to get alone and you need to sit down and you need to say, how's all the ways that trait served me? How did it serve me? Guaranteed it did. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, what are all the ways that I have demonstrated that same trait? And as soon as you start doing that, you know, and there's more to it, obviously, but as soon as you start doing that and you recognize that there's no good or bad, it's just all neutral. And then when you're dealing with a neutral psychology, you're able to embrace love and gratitude. You are out of your amygdala. You are out of fight or flight. So if I had to say, what is the main challenge that people have with manifesting? It's that their brain is so much in fight or flight that they can't raise their state. And so, yeah, my coaching, we work on collapsing charges. We work on scripting. We work on metacreating. But all of those things are to help so that you can maintain the high state. But that doesn't mean that while we're doing this work, you should not diligently, every darn day, be focusing on the state that you want to have. You should be focusing on, I'm a best-selling, for me, I'm a best-selling author. I'm touring on, and doing book signings all over the world. I'm living in that frequency on a daily basis as I do the work that when triggers come up, as I metacreate, as I do breath work, as I do EFT when things come up. Does that make sense? So you are not attracting based on your shadow work unless you're not working on your shadow. But your shadow is not the whole game. It's driving to the gym. It's not working out. That's a good analogy, right? Doing the shadow work is driving to the gym. It's not getting in there and lifting weights. The frequency, that's the workout. So put everything you have into changing your state. You attract through your state. End of story. You attract through your state. And if you wonder, you see these people, oh, maybe they're doing endorsements for some coach. And they're like, oh my God, my bank account went from $1,000 in the hole to $20,000 a month. And they said, this is what I did. This is all I did. And you're like, oh, I can do that. But if you could, you would. And so that's where all the other work, the self-help, comes from, because we're trying to figure out, we're trying to understand how to get out of amygdala survival brain so that we can operate. I will tell you right now, the people who read the book, The Secret, or who did a 6-month coaching program with this person or that person or me or whatever, and they had the amazing results and their life has never been the same. It wasn't, in most cases, it wasn't a gimmick. It wasn't a lie. It just was incomplete. It was the people that had the great, great success didn't have the fight or flight. They weren't stuck in the frequency of fight or flight. So it was easy for them to say, oh, if I can raise my frequency to just always be joyful and grateful and loving, I can have everything I want. And then they were able to do it. And I'm not saying everyone does it easily. I'm just saying it's easier for some people than others. But what I'm also saying, and this is the big part, is that for a lot of people, especially women over 50, or over 40, or over, even my daughters can struggle with it, and they're in their 30s, is that if we come from a system of fight or flight, if we're in fight or flight as a way of life, it means we're operating at the amygdala level of our brain, in our subcortex. And we can't reach that level of frequency when we're at that level of brain use. Does that make sense? So some of the things, like I have all my clients listen to tones when I do their AO scans. Those tones will really help regulate your emotions. We do metacreation with binaural beats and theta brainwaves so that it brings your brainwaves down. So everything that I do, everything I bring to the table when I coach with clients, has everything to do with getting them to be able to maintain the frequency that they need to possess and just operate and embody all the time in order to have what they want. Does that make sense? So yeah, there's a little bit of psychology, there's a little bit of biology, there's neurology, there's physiology, there's all of that. But the main goal is to raise your frequency. You are not stuck in fight or flight, but you have to recognize just healing or fixing or changing your fight or flight is not the whole game. It's not the whole enchilada. The whole enchilada is the dream that you want. You've got to have that motivation, that inspiration, that vision, which is what metacreation is. We have a vision that we want, and it has to feel so real and so exciting. And when it doesn't, that's what you need to work on. Because if you see yourself, let's say, you want to be a multimillionaire, or you want to invent a product, or you want to write a book, or you want to start a business, whatever it is, and you see it with such a vision, and you feel it, and it's so good, that's the frequency it's going to take to reach that level of success. So then you pay attention. Okay, I had it all day today. What happened? Oh, someone said that, and it set me on a tailspin. I went down a rabbit hole. The whole idea of life, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is for us to understand and address when those things happen that take us out of frequency. I really believe that's the whole thing Buddha was saying and the whole thing Jesus was telling us. I really do. There is a frequency that when we can reach it, it's heaven. It's heaven on earth. The kingdom of heaven is within. I really believe that. I know it to be true. But yet we are in an environment where things are not perfect and we keep losing our balance. We wobble. But what if the wobbles are simply external signs of what we need to internally address? Because that's the truth. That is the truth. It's not mainstream knowledge right now, but I'm telling you that's the truth. Okay? So focus on your frequency, and secondarily, look at all the things that take you out of that frequency, because that's where the gold is. And the more of those you can collapse or tap out of you or write out of you, whatever it is, however you choose to work with it, or if you choose to work with a coach, whatever it is you do, remember the goal is not to fix you. You're not broken. The goal is to fix your frequency to a higher level of thinking. Okay? So sending you good vibes, and I mean that truly and literally, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thanks for watching.